Hi, welcome to Tales from the Sky Lounge. It's a podcast about business, consulting, and venture investing. We get out there in the world, we talk to people who are making it happen, and we get their stories. And today's guest in the Sky Lounge, repeat offender, Kirby Winters. Hey, Kirby.
Hey, Todd. How you doing?
Welcome back to the Sky Lounge.
Thank you.
Who are you, and what are you working on?
Hey, my name's Kirby Winters, a Georgia native here, and excited to be back on Tales for the Sky Lounge. Thank you so much. Doing a lot of exciting things, transitions, and fun other new adventures, especially in the AI world. So can't wait to dig in and talk about it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be fun for me. For those who have tuned in and followed my adventure in May, Kirby was kind of along for the ride for some of that, and we were following in parallel footsteps and starting a lot of cool new things together. Kirby, you want to talk about like a couple of things that you've been kicking off lately?
No, you're absolutely, Todd. Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff going on. I mean, this new world of agentic AI is just absolutely fabulous. I mean, things that used to take us years and millions of dollars, now we can do in months, and it's just incredible. I dropped out of the consulting world about 6 months ago and went just full force into the providing services, providing solutions to my customers. We saw some really big trends and big holes in the market, we thought, in the compliance space. I've gotten very involved. I've been, grew up in the information security world and did a lot in software development, own my own software development firm for years. And what's so exciting about this day and age is, we can look at a solution, look at a gap, look at a hole in the market and go, let's fill that. Let's fix that now. And we're seeing some big incumbents just, kind of falling flat, we think, in certain areas. And we've turned up the volume on how do we take these tools, make them really relevant and very helpful to our customers, and then supplement that with the expertise that we built up over the years.
Yeah, a lot to pull on there. So let's just kind of do a little hat tip, since you have a hat, to management consulting. The world of management consulting has changed, I think, and then we both recognize that and went after slightly different path. I mean, you probably agree, but I think we can't really bill hours anymore, and that's one of the really interesting effects of agentic operations. I call it practical IT. A lot of people can do a lot of things and get a lot of advice really quick, good, bad, or ugly. But I think people will buy and need outcomes more than they need advice. So is that following in your thinking of why you started going down this road of providing an outcome? People need a compliance regime, not advice on how to do a compliance regime, right?
Exactly. Management consulting, used to be the arbiters of knowledge. We used to own the knowledge and would impart that on people and then help them implement it or not deal with it at all. Like that's what assessments used to be. So let's do an assessment and this is our knowledge and now you can take that and do with it as you want. But knowledge now has become a commodity. You go out to, any of your agentic AI guys and ask them something and suddenly you're an expert. They'll go and research and tell you all the different things. The big problem that people are saying now is, what do I do with that? How do I make my life better by fixing things and taking care of tasks and getting things done in a way that I know is correct and it's going to operationally make my life easier, but also, be able to look at that agentic AI and say, yes, this is right, or no, it's not. And that's still something that for a while now is going to be a very important part.
No, I think you have to heavily edit and redact and, take the bits that are interesting and put them together. And then sometimes, great, we've uncovered a lot of things. Thank you, AI. Sometimes it kind of goes down a rabbit hole and assumes a bunch of stuff and, not so helpful. But it's, it's good. It's interesting and you can go a lot faster for sure. But humans are required. So let's talk about that one night. Okay, so you and I went out for a drink one night at a bar, and you said, I got this idea. And then what I do, I whipped out my Plod recorder, right, like I always do now, and I said, hey, speak in the microphone. And then tell us about like that conversation. You want to kind of tell that story about how Compliance Pulse got its start?
Absolutely. Yeah. We sat down one day and we were just talking about how the business was changing, the world was changing. And I said, there's this huge hole I see that we got these big, GRC tools out there that they're collecting, hoovering in tons of information, but they're not doing much with it. They're not really making the lives easier of the businesses that are regulated and need to be able to enforce those things in their organization. And I said, we have the knowledge, we know how to use it, but we're not really getting the tools that can help us automate that. And Todd went, well, let's do that, and sat it down. And now we have this tool called Compliance Pulse that actually collects information and really does something with it, generates the report, generates the evidence and output, and then makes the audits better so that once we come around, couple it with the intelligence, the expertise, the people who've been doing this for years, but now we can exponentially do more with that by all of this busy work that we used to do is already taken care of for us.
So a couple of themes there. I think my favorite thing is my favorite question when I talk to people about adopting agentic techniques in their business is, tell me about the worst part of your job that's grinding on you, that's emotionally draining. And then for you, I think I even asked you that, and you were like, oh my God, it's reading all these stupid reports that come out of these expletive, SpongeBob SquarePants Sailor Talk words,
Exactly.
reports, and then you have to like go through them, and there's like too much, and then it like a lot of it doesn't make any sense, and then but there's a couple nuggets in there you have to pull out, and then you have to create another document, and that document goes to other documents, and then it's just this document C where there's like lots of words, and then like it's hard to really kind of pull out the important parts, right? And then
I'll go back to the simple side of it. What do auditors want? All they want to do is be able to prove that you're doing the things that you say you're doing, right? And that evidence is all a collection of essentially log files and information, meeting notes, other things that you've done. Well, that's a perfect consumption model for an AI agent now. You take all that information, you hoover it in, you clean it up, change it up, and put it in the nuggets that the auditors care the most about. And then you help them do their jobs by saying, great, you want to prove these things, here are all the things that we're doing, and then now we're going to push that forward and simplify that process. And one of my biggest things, and I've found this over the years, is working in information security is, the care and feeding of an information security professional is difficult because you really only need their attention for 2 to 3 months out of the year when you're going through an audit. The rest of the year, they're bored. They're doing reports, they're going to meetings, they're doing basic stuff, and they're looking for the next job because they're going, well, I've got this taken care of now. What do I do? And then the business owner is looking around going, gosh, I'm paying this guy a big salary to sit around and just attend meetings and send me reports. I could do that for a small, entry-level employee maybe. Why am I paying him? Where we're like, look, here's what we do. We're going to simplify the organizational process of running this all year in and day out. Now we have an expert that's actually understanding it and running it. You're not giving it to somebody who's got, another job or 2 other jobs, right? And then our agentic AI bot goes and takes all that, simplifies it, but you still have access to that expert. And we just think that's the way of the future. You're always going to need that person who understands the business and can really communicate with the auditor. But now we've taken that whole process, simplified it, and made it into something that's a whole lot easier.
Well, you've got a SWAT team of ninjas, right, that can be on the phone today, right, when something bad happens. But the only reason they can do that is because we freed them from the drudgery of writing and assembling the TPS reports to make the auditor happy, right?
Exactly.
And then you get better leverage, and then everybody gets a better quality product at the end. And we still always have the human reviewing everything at the end and making sure. But now we can do a lot more with software as leverage.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it excited us because then we're like, well, what else are we not seeing? What else are we not doing? And we started building out other things, that we've said we need a lot better interest and focus around how do we handle our scanning and how do we organize those reports and how do we make those valuable to the software development teams that are actually consuming them. We also looked at, dark web monitoring and how do we help protect individuals? How do we protect the executives that are getting attacked every day by these bad actors? So we start looking at those tools, and we've added other tools to our quiver too that make us even more valuable to our customers.
How many tools are we up to? 6 or 7 at this point that are just really deep, meaningful tools, right?
We're up to 7 different tools now, and it's just incredible.
Learning management, reputation,
Agentic AI, yep.
Stack scanning.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and then we have the AI governance one as
Design,
well.
governance, asset management, change control. All these things now are coming into our scope, where before you were going out and buying $100,000 tool or some other really expensive thing and maintaining it and have somebody who knows what they're doing with it. Now we're just connecting it into their systems. And this is another piece that was really, I think, the most important part of our genesis of our company, Cyber Savi, was we want to meet our customers where they're at, not try to sell them another tool. So our systems all along are tied into what they currently have, what their systems are, what their people are doing, and then we're just an overlay of a simplified version of that to help them do their jobs better.
So, what does it mean to you as an entrepreneur? Like, I love the way your brain works. Like, oh my God, I know exactly what to sell. Or how many times have you said, oh, if we had that, I could sell the hell out of that, and then boom, there it is. Now we have it. Like, what does that mean to you as an entrepreneur, not just like a business owner, but like what does that speed and flexibility mean for you to be able to put a product in, just kind of manifest a product?
It's magic. It's absolutely magic. I mean, the velocity process that you've developed is incredible. I mean, it has turned the entire software development world on its end, because used to, it was just that you had to go, come up with an idea, you'd pitch it, you get a bunch of developers, you'd take 6, 12 months or longer to build something and then turn around and see if it worked. Now we're like, let's take a month or two or less and build something, try it out, get it going, and then you fine tune it. And next thing you know, you've got this really, useful product that's already ready, production ready, very, very quickly. And you put it in your hands of your customers, and they're going to tell you how to fix things and get things a little bit better and cleaned up. But overall, it's already coming out so much more mature than we have things that were 2 and 3 years old. And it's a magic process. It's incredible.
So when we get on these calls and you see this ginormous, like, column of done, 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 and then, well, that's done, but we just hadn't accepted it yet. Like, how does that make you feel when you hear about that kind of progress?
I get excited. I love it. Like, so I like I had mentioned before, I had my own software development firm. We started off in waterfall back in the day. Then we moved in this fancy thing called, Scrum and sprints and all that stuff. And being able to see that burn down, you're talking, I've got 5, 10, 20 tickets, whatever it may be, however big your team size. I mean, the biggest team I ever managed was over 50 people. And even then, we were taking and moving maybe a couple hundred of, tickets a month or a sprint across our board. Now you have your plan right process, which is, this is a real agentic AI. How do we get features in? We're going to line up the board with 100 tickets. And then like a couple days later, like, oh, all these are moved over. And now it's going through our regression testing process. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. A couple hundred on this one, couple hundred on that one, a couple hundred on that one. Right?
Just, the speed is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, we're trying to stretch and go faster, and we're kind of, every other week it's like, how do we do this? So it's kind of a scary time, and it's also kind of a fun time to be in, build mode. There's days where I go, man, I can't go to sleep. They're going to turn this off, and then we're not going to be able to do this anymore. Like, it just seems like we shouldn't be able to go this fast. And do you think the whole world is, the whole world's not going this fast yet? And it kind of blows my mind that, like, some of us are like, can't go fast enough. And then the vast majority of the world isn't there yet. Like, hasn't really even dipped a toe. Like, what do you think's going on there?
I only run across a few people that seem to have an idea of what they're doing and where they're trying to embrace it. There's some companies that really want to understand it, but I had a very mature firm, very technology focused, reached out to us the other day and said, hey, we need some help in our compliance area, but you have to be an AI focused company. You need to enable AI things that are going on. We're trying to move very, very fast, but we're struggling at how to do it both securely and intelligently, and do it in a way that we can track it and understand it. And I'm like, that's us. Let's do that. And that's where I also mentioned them to the plan right. I mean, that tool is exactly what needs to happen, and with companies that are really forward thinking like that. But I think those companies are still few and far between. I've heard stories recently where, some of the bigger companies are just like, use all the AI you can. And then they push a lot of tokens, but they're just doing a lot of work that really isn't providing a lot of value. And that's where this has become so important. You need to come up with valuable results, with valuable tools that push your business forward and have meaningful results. And that's what I love about what we're doing.
So let's talk about, and then I struggle with this for a minute. I always am asking, like, God, this is so good. Like, why is this not just going off the shelves? And I think you hear echoes of that in the Anthropic CEO and the OpenAI CEO and hey, we spent all this money. What the hell's wrong with people? And then, so I think it's the governance and then the risk committee, right? So, for a minute, like you couldn't put any kind of important load on any of these desktop, commodity, frontier models because, hey, your number one, your CISO would freak out. Like, no, you can't like exfiltrate the data to some public API and, let them train on it. And then I think your lawyer your corporate counsel would jump in and go, no way in hell are we going to let them train on our intellectual property, and then I think, there's some, who wrote the code if, Codex or, you want Google claiming your copyright, if you use some of their tools or Microsoft or, name, Claude. So I think there's a lot of that has to get worked out. I think we're working it out. I think that's a big part of it.
Well, I think there's people too that are trying to be, forward thinking. And you see a lot of companies that I've had a few of my clients that have had a lot of hard trouble with their employee just running off and doing stuff, and it's not like you have to control them, but you need to give them the tools and the appropriate way that they can do it securely and have the things that they need to improve their businesses, improve their job roles every day. But I have another client that they've been take all their stuff and just ran off and threw it into another platform. And they put all the brakes on it and said, what are you doing? You have all these tools already gave you. How are you over here using this other stuff? And now it's become a real issue for them because they have really big clients that they have SLAs and requirements and non-disclosures and all of this kind of data handling rules. And their employee just took off and put them potentially at risk for that. So now it's really important for them to at least do the right thing, slow it down, make sure everything is within their systems, but also, keep giving them the tools so they can move fast enough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard one. Right. And then, so.
Well, our Govern AI tool makes the most sense right now. It super helps give the right AI, policy and procedures, the right direction, and help the employees understand, here's some great tools that you can use. And if you need something else, talk to us. This is how we reach out and do it. The industry is moving so fast.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy that works for a, worldwide payments organization. And, they did that, right? So I thought that was really rational. They're using a lot of different things. And then they said, here's what you can use. Here's what you cannot use. And then there's always something you can use. And then, here's what we'll provide to you. And then, so I see companies like that. I think they're going to make it, right? And then they might have to suffer through like custom, like local models, right, running on their iron in their back closet. And then maybe that's okay, right? And then, so maybe they don't get the frontier model, but maybe they don't need that. And maybe a custom model because you've got a team of 50 people that can work on that day and night, those are the companies that are going to do well, right? And let's talk about like the vendor, questionnaires that we suffer through all the time in the cybersecurity world, right? So if you're selling to a hospital, they're gonna have questions about how you do things, right? And then
exactly.
If you can't answer like, no, we don't exfiltrate your data, then that's not going to go well, right?
Exactly. And again, going back, the tools are out there. People are going to try to use them. If you don't give your employees a path to get those tools certified or get those tools, accepted to be used in the organization, they're just going to go rogue and do it on their own. And then, ask for permission later, after they've already screwed up. Where what we did with the whole Govern AI process has made it so that not only does it tell you, here's the tools you can use, but here's how you submit another tool if you want to use it into our process. This is how we vet it. And then if it passes our muster and it fits the security model, then you can use it. So that's all part of it is engaging the employees and making sure that they have the ability to be part of the process, but also we have the tracking and understanding to make sure that you meet your compliance requirements, you meet your vendor requirements.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that tension between like CISO wanting to lock stuff down and then maybe a CTO, software CTO, or like an enterprising, I don't know, CFO or something, or accountant, a controller that's not in the CISO, org chart. So, CISO in a Microsoft organization has everything locked down. It might be on a special version of Azure. it's all good, hey, just use Copilot. We have AI, just do whatever you want to do, just put it in the sandbox. And then somebody else comes in and goes, Copilot sucks. It won't do what I want it to do. I got to have Codex, or something. And then everybody goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't have that. We have auditors that have signed off on Copilot, but what happens, what does that tension look like? And I think that's playing out in a lot of companies. How does that get resolved?
It's constant right now. We sit as the compliance management team for a lot of our clients, and they come to us and say, how do we handle this? I've got a chief product officer, I've got a chief operating officer, I've got CEOs sometimes that are like, go use AI, it's great, it's going to help our business. And it's like, whoa. We agree with what you just said, but it has to be done in a regimented way. And so there's definitely tension there where we're having to slow things down a bit, and then giving the right rules and the right controls around what our employees or what their employees are doing. And so, it's a tough situation. And a lot of it, honestly, is because things are going so fast right now.
Yeah. So how, do you think we're going to see somebody get sued for something in the near future, right? Somebody's going to screw up and then it's going to tighten up again. What do you think that looks like? Or what is that breach? Like, we have new surfaces of attack, right? Where, you think there's almost certainly people camping out on some of these public API, traffic sites.
Absolutely.
What do you think is going to happen when one of those breaches happens and then somebody loses a bunch of money or has something really negative happen in their business?
I think it's going to be really interesting. And I actually had a conversation with a client about this the other day, that they've gone all in on one of the AI models. They've said, this is great. And it's ingrained and integrated into our offering to our customers. Their customers are expecting it and loving it and think it's great. They love the outcome. We've assured them over and over again of the security of it. But the question came up, like, well, what happens if this particular AI platform gets blacklisted or goes down or has a problem or gets, like you said, a major breach that loses confidence in it? Like, wow, now we have AI DR, right? How do we switch from model to model if we have to in a given time? And then are they interchangeable? And so that, I think, is a whole new tabletop exercise. That's a whole new thing that we go through when looking at our DR resources, because, even just recently, we said, all right, well, what happens if there's a major problem with AWS, or what happens if there's a major problem with Azure? Well, now we're saying, what happens if one of our key model that we're working on goes down? And then how do we switch between the others? So it's building out a whole nother series of, disaster recovery, business continuity planning models that we have to think about in the compliance space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just something to think about. Like multi-factor happened like 3, 4, or 5 years ago. And insurance picked up on it. Have you seen any insurance policies? I know in the lawyers are starting to put stuff into contracts about AI can produce results, caveat emptor kind of thing. Are you starting to see anything with the insurance, or what are you seeing with the law? And
Not yet. I think they're still a little slow. I think they're going to move quickly. I think there's an uptick. I've seen an uptick in attacks and cybersecurity claims. I've seen, I think insurance companies are going to quickly go, ooh, if you really want an AI model protection, we're going to have to give you another rider on that. They're going to look at their different calculations and determine they're going to have to start putting controls around that themselves. So I think that's coming soon, but I think they're struggling just to process it all and understand it. Normally, insurance happens after the fact, after problems are seen. We'll see if they can catch up quick enough. But I do think the biggest thing we'll see first is how does it fit into the DRBCP? And then next, on the insurance side, we're going to be like, all right, what are some of these controls that are going to start being enforced for the rest of the industry? There's a new model, the ISO 42001, which is a AI-based compliance model. I don't think they're going to force that to be implemented, but some of those things are going to be included in the other frameworks, like potentially maybe NIST, or at least certainly maybe ISO 27001. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
I kind of have a crass view on it all. Everybody knows it's a problem, but until there's a BlackRock sponsored big company that you can buy it from, like I don't know, like a Microsoft. Not that they are sponsored by BlackRock, but some big CrowdStrike like company that you can buy a blue chip solution from. I don't think the insurance is going to mandate it
Great.
if there's not a solution for it, right? Because hey, what are you going to do?
Well, that's our ultimate goal, honestly. You teed that one up for me. Thank you, Todd. Is that with Cyber Savi, we really want to be that kind of blue chip. Here we're your cybersecurity firm that's going to give you that confidence, that comfort that if you sign up with us, we're going to oversee what you're doing. We're going to be there in your corner when you need help. And we're going to provide you the tools that are going to simplify your life to stay compliant for the whatever regulatory compliance framework that you're a part of. And pretty much everybody is at some point. You have HIPAA, you have SOC 2, you have NIST. But then on top of all of those, there are more and more of these cybersecurity insurance plans are requiring you to meet a minimum standard. And that's one of the top things that we do on our base plan is let's just make sure that you're staying compliant so that if you do get hacked, if you do have a problem that may not even be your fault, that at least you can be covered by your cybersecurity insurance.
Yeah. So if you don't even try, then they can come back at you and say, hey, you didn't lock your door.
Absolutely.
Sorry, you got stolen from. Not our problem.
100%.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about Cyber Savi. Okay, so there's this kind of really cool, business model. I want to kind of pick your brain, get inside the brain of the entrepreneur here. Okay, so we got a bunch of products that are going to allow you to leverage your services, people, resources, and then provide a lot of services to a lot of people. And now you're going to take that one step further, and then you're selling in an interesting way. You're selling to MSPs that want to add nests, right? MSSP, managed security service provider. And then you're the second S. So what's different about a channel sale like that than going to companies directly? And why do you think they'll buy through a channel partner? And how's that efficient? I guess that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions there, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, when sales, you sell to whoever's interested in buying, and I certainly love direct sales, but I also really enjoy, and I've been working in that channel, arena for a long time, and being able to work with somebody that's a trusted partner of your customer, and being able to come in and have them understand that, oh, I vetted this company and I know that they're good, and I'm a trusted sale to that, makes things certainly a lot easier. And what we also really work hard at doing, and that's why we're really targeting working a lot with MSPs, the managed service providers, is those companies have really kind of cornered the market of being that first line of defense for issues and being able to manage the technology infrastructure of their customers. And that makes perfect sense. That it doesn't make sense for very few firms to hire a bunch of, technology guys to sit around and take phone calls for troubleshooting help desk tickets, right? So you have these bigger firms that can do it very efficiently and kind of hold on to that knowledge and keep up to date on all those things. But the compliance side of that is different. Most of the time, they're not interested in doing audits. They're not interested in answering compliance questions. They can tell you what you may need on your policy and procedures, or they may tell you, oh, you're being HIPAA compliant. But they're not the ones that are interested in dealing with that day in, day out audit part. And that's where we're really good at it. So for us, being that trusted partner that comes into a managed service provider, helps them with their customers, keep them safe. We also identify other things that they're lacking that they need to do. Maybe they need a better, next gen antivirus or an EDR or their MDR. Maybe they need to get their Intune policy set reviewed and updated. Or maybe they need some additional services around how are they, managing and doing their access control. These are all things that are required for these regulatory environment, type of compliance frameworks. This is where we can help elevate everybody up to be safer, more compliant, and then do it in a more efficient manner. So we love that trusted sale. We love partnering with those MSPs. And honestly, we just make them look better. It just makes them help them be a better partner to their customers.
And then it's this interesting combination between services and software, right? So you have software empowered or software leverage. Talk to us about that. That's kind of unique in that world, right? So you used to go to get, I don't know, Vanta, Drata, something, right? Lots of cybersecurity names that are kind of trusty rusty out there in the world. What's different about how you're doing it?
Yeah, it was a CEO of NVIDIA not long ago was talking about, AI and he said, these CEOs that are out there, firing people to put more money in AI. He goes, I think they're missing the boat. He said it's really that the AI is empowering their people to be exponentially more efficient and do more work. It's kind of like what we were talking about before. The AI takes away a lot of that boring, kind of repetitive stuff, and then makes your people more empowered to use their brains and use their expertise to really make an impactful result, really an impactful solution for the client. So as I came out of the whole, consulting world, I said, the professional services side, billing by the hour is really tough because it's one of those cyclical things, and you're always trying to keep people up to date and up to speed, where we decided that the best way to handle that is to empower them with a solid set of tools that only keeps getting better and better around their expertise area. And then we have that coupled with a great superset of people who have a ton of expertise in our area, and they can be able to translate the information between our customers and our agentic AI tool set, and then also simplify that process of growing it, and it helps them stay more interested and more focused on the things that they do best, using their brain to provide the best solutions. So I really believe that's our superpower, that it's going to be really hard to duplicate that as we collect better and better people that want to be part of our team, and then ultimately have our tools keep getting smarter and smarter, that it's just going to really be something that is exciting for both our employees and our customers.
Yeah, and it's a good, you get good people. They work in a great environment, and you remove that grind from their job. Like, who wouldn't want to work in that environment, right?
Exactly.
All right, so so you got a parallel entrepreneur track going here. So we talked all about cybersecurity and all the products you got going on. But there's a couple of other dimensions to your entrepreneur story. So I don't know if you want to put on another hat, but you've got a
look at mine.
Okay, yeah. So one for every hat, right? So we got a couple more to go. So we might, we might finish that before the end of the calendar year. The way we're going, holy heck. But talk to us. Okay, so you got a vodka brand.
Yeah.
That's like totally not software and totally not secure.
Yes.
What made you want to go do it? Like, that's such an odd, like, cool, different thing. Like, do you just like vodka, or like what's the story there?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I absolutely like vodka. It's one of my favorite libations to enjoy occasionally. And it all started out with my wife having trouble with bourbons and some other things. She's celiac and wanted a vodka that was really sippable and easy to drink on its own or mixed with something. And so we've always been involved in those kind of things, and we enjoy bars, and we enjoy, the getting out into the nautical themed places like out on the coast or out by the lake or on the beach. And so it's just something that came about. We started as a couple friends. The genesis of this came about. And I've just been an entrepreneur at heart for years, and let's do it. Let's give it a try. See what happens. What's worst can happen. So we started out in Georgia at the beginning of 2025, and I've been spreading that across, and now we're in Alabama. We're getting ready to launch in Florida, and just looking to spread out across the country and have fun with it. So, what's great about both technology and working with a lot of different people is that you get put in front of a lot of intriguing people. We work with a master distiller who helped us with our recipes, and our team came together and just started doing it. So I love doing different things at different times that can really, make things exciting. My father was an entrepreneur, and it's just kind of, I guess you could say it's in my blood, and I like the idea of kind of growing multiple businesses and seeing what happens with them.
And then one of the coolest things we launched with the velocity process has got to be the oyster thing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, you tend to go where you like your own things sometimes, and as we're out having our vodka and doing other things, one of our other passions is the oysters. I just love oysters, and oysters are one of those things that's ripe for how do you categorize these things, and how do you understand where they are, and they're changing all the time because Gulf Coast oysters are great, more during the winter, but during the summer they're good, but they're not bad, but they're just different, right? They end up have less salinity. They end up being bigger, but they just have a different flavor. So how do you track that and manage it? So we created something called Unshucked, and it's a mobile application and website that allows people to go to search for their favorite bar and restaurants that could have oysters, and then you can list what oysters that they're selling at that given point in time and rate them. So now when you go out, you have an app in your hand and say, tell me where this came from. Where do the well fleets come from? Where do the Beausoleils come from? Tell me about how their salinity, and tell me about what their current, status is of where they're being delivered from, and how long does it take to get there, and all these different things. So one of our favorite bars here in Atlanta is called Max, and they have about 12 or at least 10 to 12 different oysters at any given point in time from all over the country. So they have West Coast, Northeast Coast, South, Gulf, and all the way down to Apalachicola. So it's just fascinating. So now you get this kind of great melting pot and knowledge built into this awesome app now that you and the Velocity Process helped me develop. So it's just another venue for us to use it to collect and manage information, but also connect with people.
And then that'll be a connoisseur platform of all kinds, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's a great platform. The Velocity Process helped us build out the entire thing, from user engagement to tracking information to being able to rate your different types of products, whatever it is you're looking at, and then engaging it in a way that allows you to kind of push out information and notify people if something may be interested of them. So our algorithm does those things. And now we're starting to build that out across, other types of industries, other types of consumable goods.
Yeah. So I kind of share a little bit of my story. So we built a lot of software in the last 3 months, and some of it is never going to get seen, right? Just because the people on the other side are not entrepreneurs at heart, like Kirby. They're just not ready, right? And then so I think a lot of people are very concerned with the commoditization of a lot of white collar type, work, knowledge work, or whatever have you. And coding is right there. Coding has definitely changed, right? And the ability to manifest software has really changed a lot. But the more things change, the more they remain the same. It's just, it always was about the entrepreneur and being able to take a product, fit it into the market, and recognize a great idea and capitalize on it. We could just do it faster now, and then we can do more of it. And then you could spend more of your time not on the grind of getting it into being, but you could spend way more of your time talking to people and saying, "Hey, is this what you need? Is this different?" And then you can iterate and get it really, really good, really, really fast. So I think we're talking about a 48-hour custom men's suit, not like a $20 fast fashion, throwaway.
Absolutely.
Is really what we're talking about, right? Well, Kirby, it's been good having you here. It's all about travel. Where else? What? Yeah, where have you been traveling lately? And then what is your favorite beach these days?
Well, my favorite beach is down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We get down to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach and Pensacola as often as we can. My wife her family's out in Arizona, so we get out there whenever we can to visit them. And we were in France last year, and we just kind of get around the different places where we can. But it's just, we love to travel, and it gives us opportunity to see new places and get new ideas for people too. And hopefully we can bring it back and do something new with the Velocity Process.
Do you want to talk about the parachute story on the bar at the beach?
That's on my bucket list. I haven't done it yet, but it's something we're considering. Is that I don't know if anybody knows the Floribama, but love that place. It's right on the border of Florida and Alabama. It's been there for 40, 50 years. And it's just it's an iconic place. It's great. A lot of Jimmy Buffett songs and other artists who've sung about it and sung there themselves. And there's a group down there that does parachuting, that you can drop out of a plane, parachute down, and they will land you at the Floribama bar on the beach.
And then you get a beer, right?
You
get whatever
drink you want. Get a Bushwhacker is one of their iconic drinks. So we'll have to. That's a plan. We're gonna try to get that in this year if we can.
What's the name of your vodka? We need to get everybody the vodka.
Yeah. Literally Vodka, literallydrink.com. So that's our brand. So check it out.
Well, it's been great having you, Kirby. How can people get in touch with you these days? I know it's a complicated question with all your ventures.
I'm all over everything, LinkedIn and Instagram. And so KirbyWinters.com or Kirby Winters is my handle for just about everything. There's not a lot of Kirbys out there, so that's been great to pick those up. Cyber Savi, cybersavi.com, cybersavi.com. That's our main company where we're doing everything. So, yeah, please reach out, contact me anytime anybody wants. We'd love to hear from you.
Bye for now.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks for joining us in the Sky Lounge. Please like and subscribe to hear more from Tales from the Sky Lounge here and anywhere else you get your podcasts.